we're okay, we're good right now, we're fine in the way that we're presenting to Tech and everything else. But then we sit here and we listen to people talk about how hard the academics were, or the challenges that we have at Tech. It's a different type of player. The other thing that was disturbing, Ken, and you and I were talking about it, is how we've listened to people say, "Oh, we're recruiting."
Right.
Those type of people. And I was thinking about it. I said, I don't know if I'm gonna go ahead and put it on blast, but at the same time, you and I discovered a very prominent football player that was right here in Atlanta, basically in my neck of the woods.
Right.
Okay. That ended up going to Clemson.
Right.
Wasn't even offered.
Right. Exactly.
Wasn't even offered.
Right. Exactly. And that became irritating to hear that. Because we talked about it, of course, while we were on our little vacation.
Right, exactly.
But it made me mad because here's a guy that's performing, that's in our backyard,
right there,
that's doing the things that we need, that we need.
Yeah, exactly.
And we don't offer him.
Right.
We don't go over and say, hey, come to Tech.
Right.
Anything. We don't do anything.
Right.
I doubt if he was even on our board to recruit.
It's crazy. It's crazy. You look at it and you say, okay, so they're in the room right now with this strategic thing, and they're looking at all these top players, Ken. And are they saying, oh, well, we just won't be able to get them, so we're not even going to go that route. We're not going to waste resources to do that. I mean, is that what was happening? Is that how that was going down? And you would hope that was not the case, but it sounds like more and more that's kind of where things were going. Because if you kind of look back to where we were, there was no reason why there could not be a potential, what we talked about, and we're going to get in more about this later on, but a quote-unquote player that was of a 4-star, 5-star caliber.
Right. You
can't tell me that when they grow up in the Atlanta area that a lot of them don't aspire to be in a Georgia Tech uniform.
Right, exactly. And I know we are broadcasting live here from Seven Springs Studio,
yes,
and all
sir.
that good stuff. And we might be experiencing a little bit of difficulty, I believe. I'm looking on our feed, and we're seeing people that were saying that we're interrupted. So just keep listening. Just keep listening. We'll repost this and do all this good stuff, but we'll repost it. And make sure that we have all the links and all that good stuff, so you can take advantage of listening to what we're saying and what we have to say. But we're going to continue on with the program,
gotcha,
as scheduled.
As scheduled. The show must go on. Absolutely. The bonus is that they get a chance to see us, Ken.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? but the most important thing is that they got to hear us.
They got to hear us.
They got to hear us. And because, right here, baby, with a player's perspective, Georgia Tech Sports Talk, the only sports talk, the real sports talk right here in your ear, coming from Ken Swillen and Tom Covington right here in Seven Springs Studio. But, Ken, it's one of those things, because every year you want to compete. You want to go after it. You want to get it. And we understood that we were sort of doing an offensive scheme that was not of the norm. But at the same time, you still wanted to bring the players in.
Right.
You still wanted to develop the players.
Right.
You still had players that worked through that type of system in high school and college. And if they just were able to basically convince them that, hey, this is going to be something that we can develop you and then transcend to the league, we can make it happen. Right. And we've got players that have done so.
Right.
And it's one of those things that, right now, it's a great start to what we're looking at. It's a great opportunity to what you're seeing. And now we have an opportunity just to see a lot of these kids out there get excited more about Georgia Tech football. And that right there is the key to me, Ken.
Yes.
That when all of a sudden these kids start breaking down their Final Four and Final Three, Georgia Tech is right in the mix.
Right in the mix. Yeah.
So it's always been on their radar.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? If this was a place that they didn't want to be, we would never even be in that conversation.
Well, you don't know where you want to be until the opportunity is presented to you most of the time.
Right.
And if opportunity is not presented to you,
right,
then you don't want to be there.
You don't want to be there.
And it appears that you don't want to be there.
Exactly.
But opportunity has to be presented. And what Coach Collins has done, he said, by surrounding himself with a bunch of guys that like to recruit just like he does.
Yes.
He has opened the lid, like I said, on college recruiting in the South.
Yes.
And especially at Georgia Tech. And other schools are starting to take notice.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
I was looking at the video the other day where we were doing the WWE thing, where Coach Carrillo was down there knocking people out, doing that kind of stuff. And then there was a lot of people that basically had, you know, objective views to it, where they were coming from the air of, what are we doing or how are we doing it? The thing was that you were watching.
Right.
You know, we were on your radar. You're not even a Tech fan. And you're out there watching and trying to see what we're doing.
Right.
And that's all that matters. You know, they talk about there's no press is bad press and all that kind of stuff, and exposure is good exposure.
Right.
Well, that's the thing right now is people are taking notice. And they're clicking and they're wanting to see what's happening down on the flats. And you got to be excited about that because the energy is there. These coaches are phenomenal, Ken.
Right.
I mean, you know, getting out there, doing a lot of the drills that these kids are, but the youthfulness that we talked about, but tagged with the experience. A lot of these coaches have a lot of experience,
right,
to where they know how to coach, and they can do it on a level that they can articulate this stuff. Excuse me. To these young kids, and these kids can look back and see that there's somebody there that I can identify with.
Right, and you know, most of the guys that are there on the coaching staff that have played at Georgia Tech were successful at Georgia Tech, and were a part of winning situations at Georgia Tech. So, as I said before, what better guy to talk to a guy, or talk to an incoming player or a player that is currently on the roster, about winning at Georgia Tech than somebody that's already done it. That's done it and lived it.
Marco Coleman.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, national champion, all-pro player, played in the NFL for 14 years.
Right.
And was a baller, a straight-up baller.
Right.
Okay, and then, and like he's talked about on, like what you saw, Waffle House Wednesdays, you know, his desire to coach was established in the point where he did what he needed to do to get back into the coaching scene. But if he was ever going to come back and coach on the college level, it had to be at his home.
At his home, right?
And
that was a beautiful, touching story that he told on his Waffle House Wednesday. That you know, there was no other place to go but to come back home and to do it where he knew best. The people knew the grounds, knew everything, and everything was familiar to him. So. That's what he did, and you know, I'm very proud of him. Very proud of Coach Choice and all these guys, Coach Key. You know, all of these guys that have come back and are now a part of it, and you know, making this, you know, a place where you feel. I've always felt like Georgia Tech was a part of me.
Yes.
Or that I was a part of Georgia Tech and all that good stuff. But now, more so than ever, you know, the threads of bonds, you know, is that knitted us together. You know, it's really there now. You know what I'm saying?
You talk about a family and a family that you have kids, and then they grow up and then they move on. But the most satisfying thing and gratifying thing is the relationships that you develop, the bonds that you've established, and then watching them go away and then wanting to come home.
Right.
You've got to have that in order to have a successful, complete family.
Right.
And you can't allow people to then move on, and then don't feel like they want to come back.
It don't feel like they want to come back, and you don't you never have the door open on welcome hinges for them to come back, or for them to participate. Or when you do, it's when you're asking them for a donation.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
And that can't happen.
Right,
that can't happen like that. Yeah, people are going to give, and people are going to donate. People are going to give, but they want to feel like. You know, somebody they want to feel like they, you know, that you're not just using them for their substance.
Was their substance, and it goes on throughout the NCAA. We're not owners of all of this, and you hear this going on throughout so many different institutions. And what's happening is just that the good ones get this corrected.
Right.
And the one thing is happening now is that you Georgia Tech is being one of the good ones, and then turning themselves into a front runner of how to get this corrected and how to get that done. And for everybody that we've met and talked to, parents of former players, different things, former players that were here that then had kids that played here, are all feeling the satisfaction of coming home.
Yes.
And I think it's translating now into a lot of these guys who are wanting to come and take a look at Tech. Now, Ken, when we get into that and we're looking at some of this stuff, you know, for a kid that's out there, And for someone that's taking a look at Georgia Tech, they have that little battle because this is new, right? Mm-hmm. And then everybody else is basically selling that this is what we've been doing.
Right.
And so they're not sure whether they want to take the step and be a part of what's going on. But the greatest thing of what you got happening right now is that you are part of the foundational growth, the establishment of what's to come.
Exactly.
And so all great things that happen from this point forward are going to be on the back of you.
Right.
And moving forward and making that happen.
Yep.
So it's almost like a pioneer, a founder, or something of that nature, where a lot of us can identify with different organizations of what's happening. You've got that greatness coming together. And the difference is, Ken, because you've seen it before in different programs, the coaching staff was never to the caliber and the pedigree of what we've got going on right now. Right. It's something to where you had maybe one coach that was a figurehead and a name, and then everybody else was kind of, middle of the road.
Right.
But you've got some young, talented, educated guys that are out there who are really ready to put this forward, who know what they're doing, and these kids are going to be prepared both on and off the field as they matriculate through Georgia Tech.
Yeah, that's right. And I think you hit the nail on the head. You talked about the foundation. Mm-hmm. The foundation has been laid. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
The foundation had been laid with John Heisman, with all of these different people that have come through this institution.
Right.
The foundation is there. The foundation, kept going with Pepper Rogers, kept going with the foundation with Bobby Ross and all of these coaches, George O'Leary that was there. It's just one of those things that has people that have come through this institution.
Kim, you got the
foundation
voiceover
is there. The foundation, kept going.
Okay.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
There we go.
There you go.
So the foundation of what was built, it's there now.
Yeah.
Now we've had some success. We've had to kind of chip away at some different things, but now you can see the building being erected the right way.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's almost like we had to stop working for a minute and say, hey, wait a minute, let's tear this thing back down. Let's get back down to the basics.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna put this thing back together again the right way. And what Coach Collins has done it's phenomenal to me. I can't even express to you how impressed I am with him. As I said before, and many of you out there listening to us have heard me say this, it was almost like he had if I get a Georgia Tech head coaching job, starter kit ready.
Exactly.
And
your fifth birthday.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And it's been on your wall forever.
Exactly. And from what I'm hearing and what I understand of Coach Collins, when he was a GA, he said one day I'll be coaching here. So you've got a young man that has vision.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a coach that has vision like that, it's like he's almost 2 steps ahead of everybody else.
Right.
Because he's seeing it happen.
Yeah.
And he's he's speaking it to himself.
Yeah.
But he's seeing it, everything that he's saying coming out of his mouth, he saw it happen before.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because he thought it out. He thought the vision out, and really, it's almost prophetical that he would be coaching at this moment and at this time and at this pinnacle time in the city of Atlanta.
Absolutely.
And then calling for, everybody to come home.
Right. That's
what I'm saying? And that it almost gives me chills that that's basically what he's doing.
Well, to have the awareness, Ken, that kind of stuff is important.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because there's so many people that go through this type of scenario, but they don't truly understand what's really important.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you look at successful principles, they pretty much can be plugged and played in various scenarios and in different situations. But in this type of situation, you talk about the duplication, the message. People are being able to speak the message. People being able to come through and articulate what you're saying. Athletic director Todd Stansbury came back and sat down with every single coach in the athletic association and asked them to basically speak on the message of Georgia Tech, and got 170 different answers.
Right.
What you see here is a coach that has come through and spoke on what is Georgia Tech, and now you got a coaching staff that all speaks the same
language,
and that is going to resonate that is going to project its way in profound ways, brother, and measure as we move forward. The years can't come fast enough, you know, because you understand how this is going to roll out and what's going to happen. But we've got to take it, you know, one day at a time, 1 month at a time, and that sort of thing.
Exactly.
But it for an fan and for an alum, this is some exciting time.
It's a great time to be a Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket. I'll tell you that right now. I can't go anywhere. Everywhere I go in the city, if I'm wearing my my paraphernalia.
I like that. My nalia.
If I'm wearing it, you know, people are like, "Are you a Tech fan?"
Right.
You know, I've had several people come in my store. They'll see my card, you know, with my name on it, and they'll be like, "Are you that Ken Swilling?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm that Ken Swilling."
That man.
Well, what you think about Georgia Tech? How you feel? And that is just, I said that to say this, there's a buzz in this city.
It is.
That has not, that I don't think I've ever felt or hadn't been around here since maybe since we played.
Yeah.
You know, because it's an exciting time that's moving us into a place that I don't think, you know, I really believe that Georgia Tech is really set up to be one of those teams within the next few years that can compete.
Absolutely.
You know, not just for an ACC championship.
Yeah.
But, you know, we'll compete on a national level and will be a destination place for a lot of the 4 and 5 star guys to come to.
Well, many a times we talked about it, that really even on this upcoming season, that if we don't quite do as well as we want to do, we don't see it as a bad thing. We see it as a plus just because we see what's happening. You know what I'm saying? A foundation is probably the ugliest part of a building. It's the ugliest part of the building. And it's not until that building actually comes to fruition and they paint the last little stroke on that thing to where you start to see the beauty of it all. And what you have is that even going into this season, though, I feel we're actually going to do better than we expect. Because we've got a lot of great athletes. We've got a lot of great kids that have played roles, who learned how to play other types of roles.
Right.
And excelled in it and did very well in doing that. Now they go back to what they're naturally talented in.
Right.
Their abilities to do it. And then you have a system that's going to allow them to spread their wings.
Right.
You look at being what defensive back does not like pressure? Does not like to come up on somebody and go one-on-one with someone.
Pressure is your friend.
Pressure is your friend,
there
right?
You go.
What wide receiver doesn't like the opportunity to be able to stretch the field and get downfield and get involved in the passing game? What running back doesn't like the opportunity when you can get in there and they say you're going to do pretty much 50-50 and passing and running. So you're going to be an integral part of this program and a part of the plan. So there's a lot of little steps here that you're going to really get these people jumping. And then the fever is spreading to where we're starting to see a lot of these talented kids are starting to say, yes, I'm coming to Georgia Tech.
Right.
So all they're going to do is just feed off of that and compound on that and make that greater, because now practices get a little bit more competitive. There's a lot of opportunity out there, Ken. And I'm telling you, for right now, I don't know who's listening right now, but I do know that a lot of the people who are most important are listening right now.
Right.
Okay? And they're going to have the ear to a lot of these young kids and what's going on. But you're talking about a situation where you have 4 years, Ken. You only have 4 years to play this game.
Right.
And on the college level. And for a lot of people, that dies on the college level.
Right.
Okay? No matter how great you are, because of other factors. It could be an injury, it could be whatever, right? But in these type of situations, these are the only years you're going to get.
Right.
And it makes, to me, a lot of sense to get somewhere where you can play and where you can shine and you can improve your stock to extend those 4 years, possibly moving on. Because we see it a lot of times, Ken, and I talked about it. There's a lot of 4 and 5 stars that were all of that and this and that and the other, who have gone to certain programs out there. We never heard of them again.
Right. It's funny how it always dwindles back down to those guys that are 2.5, 3-star guys that end up working their tails off.
Right.
And they become the staple of their program. These guys become the staple of the next level in the NFL. I mean, you can look, it's very few moments that you can look at a 5-star guy and say, "Oh yeah, he's going to the pros,"
yes.
and he actually does make it into the pros,
right.
or doesn't fizzle out, before he gets there. And we talked about this, I think, yesterday offline, but I guess we'll get into it. No better time to segue into it.
Mm-hmm.
What to you makes up a 4-star, makes up a 5-star,
right?
In your eyes, what gives you that depiction, or whatever?
To me, it's always a player that it's somebody that basically exudes an athlete, stature wise, size wise, speed, and everything. But then, of course, it has to be their football acumen. To me, their ability to understand the game. And the way that they go about their play and in their game, they separate themselves from everybody else that they're playing against.
Right.
You can actually see that this guy is head and shoulders, literally, okay, and that above those other people. And that's where he establishes himself as being a 4-star. He's not just the fastest kid. He's not just the strongest kid. Because you and I have seen that all the time.
Right.
A lot of kids like that, but then they could not even memorize the playbook.
Right.
They still couldn't understand how to read a coverage.
Right.
So to me, how are you a 4-star athlete, but yet you're, for lack of a better word, a dunce in the actual understanding of the game. And what you have is you have a lot of people, which I fear, which I'm telling you, when you talk to a lot of coaches out there, they hate these stars,
right?
Because it's clouding the judgment of these kids,
right?
To where they feel like they just don't have to learn anymore. Well, they don't feel like they have to do much anymore because, they said I'm 4 and 5, so I can get there. Have you? The thing that always kills me watching some of these one-on-one camps, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at these kids dancing all at the line and skipping in there. I said, your quarterback just got sacked.
Yeah.
You're not even involved in the play.
Yeah, that's not a real test.
That's not a real test. But it's the hype factor, and of course they're trying to make money too, in their camps and different things that they're doing. But then the kids are catching the ball and then they're running with the ball out here like that. To me, those are the things that take away stars.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? You see a kid catch it, tuck it away, get upfield on his first move, you know what I'm saying? Instead of dancing at the line, getting downfield quickly so that he can cause separation, stopping on a dime, getting out of his cuts, exploding and doing those type of things. Those are the things that identify a kid who's a little bit different from another kid.
Right.
And whether that's going from a 2 to a 3, a 3 to a 4, a 4 to a 5. Okay. Now a 5 is basically what you're looking at as a man amongst boys.
Right.
That somebody like we saw with Trevor Lawrence, right? Just his ability to throw, recognize, read, all those kind of things, the strong arm, the long throws and everything else. You kind of got to give that kid a 5-star rating because he has shown that he's able to do things that are on the pro level and a high school level.
Right.
So, of course, those kind of things become easy in what you see. But at the same time, if he believes that he's pro ready right now and doesn't have to learn anything on the high school level and becomes labeled as uncoachable, watch how that guy does not make it into the NFL.
Right, exactly.
As good as he is, watch how he won't make it into the NFL.
Right.
And so those are the things that kind of I look at.
Yeah, every coach wants a guy that's coachable.
Yes.
That wants a guy that can understand. Not only can he grasp and decipher what a coach is saying to him,
right,
but they have the wherewithal to look in and not just be they're an observer of the game,
right,
and not just out there watching the game or watching it being played or whatever.
Right.
Somebody that's observant takes on the stuff that they need to take on to learn and to all that stuff. We used to call them mental reps.
Right.
They don't necessarily have to be inside of the play or be involved in the play to get that mental rep and to understand what they need to do with certain situations. And, I think, what you mentioned and you talked about the kids, sometimes that does cloud judgment when you can pay money to go to a camp and you may have tested good at a camp and all of a sudden you're on somebody's board.
Right.
Now they got you rated as a 3-star. You go to another camp and they rate you at a 4-star. You go to another camp and they say, well, he's a borderline 5-star. Next thing you know, you get all kind of mail coming to your house and you're being recruited by everybody and you got about 20 offers and all that can for a 15 to 17-year-old kid, that could be very, very hard to take.
Yeah.
Because they're telling you you're good. They're telling you you're great.
That's right.
And everybody's patting you on the back and telling you you're the best thing since sliced bread. I don't know what we would do without you. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right.
So everybody's telling you that and making you feel a certain way when in reality, you've done nothing.
Nothing.
Because, and you have to be grounded enough or have some people around you that are grounded enough.
Right.
And not caught up in the situation. And I thank God every day for my dad. That was he didn't say a whole lot, but as good as everybody thought I was in high school, as much as they thought I could play ball, he was my voice of reason.
Gotcha.
He was like, you can't listen to everybody. You don't, you good around here.
Yeah.
But what about when you go over there?
Exactly.
So don't think that you're the best thing ever,
right?
Because there's somebody out there,
right? Oh yeah,
that's going to be a little bit better than you, and going to working hard just as hard as you are,
right?
Doing everything that they need to do to be at that level too. So you've got to continue to work hard.
That's interesting that you mentioned that too, Ken, because I had one of the same kind of relationships with my father, and I twisted my ankle, and I had a high ankle sprain, and I thought it was going to jeopardize everything for me going to college and playing and all that kind of stuff. And I remember my father coming and trying to console me because I was in tears. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And the thing he told me in my ear was, you just excel in the classroom and I'll be proud of you.
That's
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it had nothing to do with the game, the football, whatever it is. We'll figure it out. We'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. You take care of you in the classroom, and you're gonna be just fine.
Right.
And so it's those little words that have become so meaningful,
right,
and so powerful, because I've seen it on the other side.
Oh yes.
Oh yes. And we see it even today. The parents are so overbearing and involved and talking about this kid and their talent and this and that and the other. And we all know that they're one play away from it all going away.
All going away. It
going
doesn't take but one play.
That's
take but one play. And you never know when that one play is.
Never.
Sometimes, you said it.
Knows the day,
nobody,
the
hour or the moment. We played with a guy, Derek Hamilton.
Yeah.
And I will mention his name.
Absolutely.
Because the first time he came to Georgia Tech, he was built like a brick house.
Ooh.
And he was running back.
The Ham, shout out to you, brother.
They were running a 40.
Yes.
And he tore his ACL.
Yes, he did.
And was never kind of the same guy.
Nope.
Ever again.
Yeah.
But he went on, got his education, did all the good stuff that he needed to do.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think his daughter won some singing contest a few years ago. But
right.
But I said that to say this: you never know at what moment. He played a little bit at Georgia Tech, but never really ascended to the place he wanted to.
Exactly.
And
he was an awesome talent.
He was awesome talent. I tell my sons them all the time. I said, if I'd have known it was going to be my last time playing football, really in a real live, active way,
right?
My last game, man, I ain't no telling what I would have tried to pour into it. You know what I'm saying? Because you just never know. Because at the next level, if you're fortunate enough at the next level to get there, that bus will stop.
It will,
and they will call your name and number and tell you to get off.
That's right.
And sometimes when you get off, you can't get back.
The end of the line. The end of the line. Everybody has an end of the line. Everybody has an end of the line, and you got to be ready for that and do that. I mean, every time I rub on these knees every day, I say, "Ooh, boy, yeah, I was definitely at the end of the line."
Yes, I'm paying for it right now. I'm like, it doesn't help that I'm a little chunky right now, but
we can all lose a few pounds. We can all lose a few pounds, isn't that right? I mean,
like we're saying, it's just young kids out there listening to us.
Yeah,
parents is listening to us. Hey, take all this stuff with a grain of salt.
Yes,
don't blow yourself up so big that you think you're the next best thing. Because I used to coach little kids, so it used to kill me. Every parent would say, my son's not playing. Coach Willing, why my son's not playing? I'm like, okay, would you take one moment and come to practice and take a look, and you'll see what I see. And I don't want him to have a bad football experience.
Right.
I want him to grow into this thing, and then you tell me if you would put Timmy in the ball game.
Exactly.
And so they come to practice and they look at him. They say, "Well, coach, you were right. I'm gonna work on him at home.
Well, I'm working on him at home. That's right.
But most kids,
done.
And I've tried never to do this, but most parents kind of live their life vicariously through their children, and that's when you get the over aggressive moms and dads and everybody screaming and hollering and doing all this and wanting to fight at children's games and all this stuff. You get all of that, from them trying to live vicariously through their child's eyes and life. But I tell you what, Tom, I'm just, I don't know. I'm just glad I'm not in this era of coming up, because I don't know if I can. I don't know. Everything is just different, man.
It's tough, man. And I was talking to a gentleman last night just about the differences of this era and the different things that are going on with a lot of these kids, and and it's almost, to me, you almost have a smaller pool to pull from,
right?
Because you do have a lot of kids that are very talented and athletically talented, but they just haven't developed above the shoulders.
Right.
They haven't gotten to that. We've seen some things happen just recently to where, a football player was kicked off the team. Right.
Right.
And so you're looking at those type of things that these mistakes, man, and these little short decisions, these split-second decisions can really destroy you.
Change your life.
For your life.
Yep.
And a lot of kids, they just believe they're so invincible and everything else. And I'm sure we all have the same degree to what's going on. But a lot of that parental guidance, has gone away.
Right.
We don't have a child problem today. We've got a parent problem today.
Right.
And it's one of those things to where coaches have to go beyond the student and take a look at the home life,
right.
And see what's going on. And so sometimes a kid doesn't know why he's not being picked, but a lot of that can be done just because of where you come from, brother.
That's true.
What tree are you falling off of?
Yeah.
And do we want to be a part of that?
Right.
But these are things, man, that we just, gonna constantly dig into and bring a player's perspective to. Shed some light on right here on a player's perspective at Seven Springs Studio, right here in the ATL. And but Ken, this is going to be an exciting year. I think we're going to have a lot of fun bringing it and bringing the information to the people out there and to all the fans, and they're growing every single day. We thank y'all for supporting us and being there for us. We thank you for missing us when we're not on.
Right.
And looking for our input and what's going on. But it's your input that we're looking for too. And so we ask you to continue to want to participate in the show, post something, put up some information. We'll answer you. We'll get back to you on that. But Ken, we're looking at doing some big things this year. Bringing on a couple people. I had a conversation with Thomas Balcom.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. And so, Thomas is now in compliance.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's doing that now for Georgia Tech.
Okay.
And doing that, overseeing the recruiting aspect of things, make sure that we're doing things right.
Okay.
And it's awesome, and a lot of you guys may know him by World T. But Thomas Balcom, strong safety.
Right.
On the Georgia Tech football team back in 1990. Awesome player. Thomas was, a comedian.
Comedian, master artist,
all those great things, man. And we're looking forward to having him on the show. So he's going to be on the show within the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
And bring him on and talk to him. But we're lining up a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
A lot of these coaches so that we can bring that to them and get ready for this season coming up and everything else. So how many touchdowns we going to beat Clemson by?
If we beat them by one, I'll be fine.
That's right.
If we beat them by three, it don't take but one.
It just takes 1 point. It just takes 1 point. So in light of that, and going into that, man, and as we start to get to the point where we're going to wrap up our hour, these hours go by so fast. But at the same time, Ken, we come out, we have a good preseason. A lot of people stay healthy. We get a lot of contributions from a lot of these kids. Jemias Griffin will be joining us in the fall. And you got Southers is now on the front line doing some big things and helping it out. We got a great coach that's now coaching these guys, and a lot of coaches who are coaching these guys. Jalen Camp's gonna finally be able to spread his wings, get out there and do some things, and then we go in and on the 29th we come out of there with a victory, man. What does all that mean?
It means we won a game.
And it means we won a game.
One game.
That's right.
What I'm saying? And if the converse happens, it means it's just one game. And a season, I found out, is not just one game. It's several games, a collection of games put together that makes up the season. So we have to go in it with open eyes and open mind and see that Georgia Tech. I don't think. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah.
I really do believe they're going to surprise a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
I think from the skill position standpoint, at receiver, running back, I think we might have more depth than anybody in our whole conference.
Yes.
I mean,
absolutely.
and that's just from a naked eye looking at what I saw during the spring.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I think that we got guys that they don't know anything about.
Right.
We got guys that can really stretch the field. And that can really do some things and make big plays. So when you look at stuff like that, that was talent that was underutilized.
Yes, it was.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That really you haven't seen these guys in the way that you're going to see them.
Right.
So it makes it a little bit different. I'm not sure if Marquise Ezzard, if he's going to be able to, is he going to play this?
I'm not sure what's holding all of that up and what's going. It seems like they're dragging that stuff out. But I guess it's a process, and I don't know how long it took all of the other people that actually were granted.
Right.
It seemed like it just took them a lot shorter of time to get there.
Right.
Now the one thing I hate is that I hated that the media started getting involved and the way that the NCAA makes these decisions on what they do, because you know how that always affects people and they want to pause and take a break and reevaluate and all that kind of stuff, right?
Exactly.
But it's like I just hope it doesn't disrupt us,
right?
Okay, and to have him available this year, it sounds like that everything that's needed for him to be granted that is in place. Mm-hmm. So we don't look at that as being one of those things that would happen. Mm-hmm. And really going all the way down, it looks like everybody has a option of playing this year. And I think with those components, and looking at these guys getting involved with what's going on, we're going to be an anomaly. We're going to be one of those things that people are just not going to be able to understand and figure out right off the bat, because like you said, you're taking people now that were running backs that needed speed, strength, and agility, and all of a sudden now they're becoming slot receivers.
Right.
And they're becoming these type of things. So all of a sudden they instantly become, deep threats and people that can stretch the field and do those kind of things, but also catch the ball out the backfield and do some things in space. So it's going to be exciting, man. But I tell you what, if we win that, when we win that game, you and I are going to be some sloppy, drunk folks off of that sparkling wine.
Yeah, that's about all I can handle
right now. You know what I'm saying?
Sparkling wine got me.
Hey, years ago they had this little a segment on ABC, and they put these kids in a room and they gave them sparkling wine and told them it was alcohol, and they were all drunk in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they have a lick of alcohol. Just mentally, they thought they were getting drunk. Absolutely. So, hey, you never know what's in that stuff, brother. We're going to have a good time. But I know we're going to party hard, though, Ken.
Oh, yes, without a doubt.
Party hard.
Without a doubt.
But thank y'all for supporting us again on another episode of A Player's Perspective. It is now 8 o'clock. And it's time for us to shut this thing down, Ken. We got to talk about it, because I know we're just not going to be able to get all this in an hour, though.
Well, we're going to have to try.
We're going to have to try. I know it, brother. I know. But we're going to have to do something else somewhere else, and we got to give it to the people. They looking for it.
Yeah, I know it. I know it.
But it was good seeing you again, brother.
Good to be seen.
It's good to be back.
Good to be back.
That's
good to be back live. Good to be with our crack engineer, Mr. Kim, and
yeah, you go.
At the Seven Springs Studios here in the lovely Powder Springs, Georgia.
There you go.
Man, I ride up in here. I'm like, Lord have mercy. Boy, God, you got to come on quick, Jesus. I said, woo, they living, Lord. Oh, they living over here. They living over here. Lord, they living. Lord have mercy.
Absolutely. We just got to become 2 of the 5.
That's all I need.
That's all we need.
That's
For those that are tech people out there, you understand what I'm talking about. But glad to have y'all back here. It was exciting to see y'all, man. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on YouTube. Kim, are we still posting on Instagram? What we doing?
We're still posting out.
Okay. All right. So we're going to be expanding, putting this thing out everywhere, man. Pretty soon, you just going to go to your bathroom and turn the lights on. We're going to be in the mirror. So, we're going to be everywhere for y'all.
There you go.
But check us out, man. Keep supporting us. Keep liking us. Tell everybody that's a tech fan out there what we're doing. And come on and join us. And Yellow Jacket Nation, continue to spread that hive love. All of my Yellow Jacket players, former players, alums, jackets for life, baby. So from me and Ken, and from Kim the engineer, y'all have a great week. Peace.
Peace.